Well, I don't know. Things like this keep happening in nutheads, but perhaps I don't know. I don't know. It's a Sunday afternoon, and Frank was kind of curious about it. He read the book, and he was probably, of all the people that read the book, Frank gave me probably the longest little critique of what he had to say about it, and he's been rather positive in his comments. And most people don't say too much about that book. I guess it's difficult to read unless you're got to be at the level of the happening in order to see the happening. So anyway, the room is open for a while, and Frank actually has his hat, thanks to Mystica. She taught me how to. Well, it's been so long I didn't remember how to do all that stuff, but now I know where it is. So thanks to her again. Go ahead, Emmy. Tide.
Yeah, thanks, Edward. See, when it comes down to ebbing tide, you're not doing it the right way. You should do it this way. If you're going to come into the room, this is how it should unfold. See the shoulds and shouldn't list that's coming into play? There's no acceptance of what's actually happening. It's already relating to a shoulds or a shouldn't list. See, the acceptance of what is not always looking to change. And it was mentioned there is nothing. That, we're not talking about changing. And yet it was spoken, when you come into the room, you shouldn't do it this way. You should do it that way. See, it is relating to change. It is relating to, to how things should unfold according to me. That's why it's spoken, drop the me and see what does unfold. Because as a director, it never works. Because things do not unfold according to me. They never have and they never will. Nor will they according to Edward Jones, nor will they according to Mystica. That's the illusion that we can control something where it's perfectly in control of itself.
You see, ebbing tide. You started your sentence off, and you always hide this a little bit, so I don't know anybody heard it, but you said see, and you said see, and then you started your preaching, and then you preached, and you preached, and you preached. As long as your belief system is held in place, in other words, things just happen, then we're going to have wars, we're going to have men fighting with women, we're going to have little boys getting laid by priests, we're going to have nut-headed popes who chase little boys around. We're going to have all the same problems we have now because we have nutheads running around here saying, well, there's nothing we can do. It's all happening by itself. That's insanity, ebbing tide, insanity. Surely we can't change it because change, as I said before, is a paradigm shift within the same damn consciousness. If we care to have something beside war and fighting and marriage and church-going nutheads, then something new needs to be introduced. Now, you wouldn't have any kind of idea. Most people don't even know what new means. New means not having been before. Something not before. Not some nut-headed thing that's all happening by itself and in automatic and you don't do anything. You just get in the car and you don't have to get in the car. All of a sudden you just start moving and the thing takes you wherever. That's the way we've been living for thousands of years, ebbing tide. Our world has been carrying us, and we have been following along like a bunch of sheep. And you come into this room talking about actually seeing if we can do that. And that's the thing we've been doing forever. So please, take a look at your own insanity before you make other people insane. Mike.
Well, I actually see that because of the simple fact, if change has worked, then why are we still in this situation? Why are we still the way that we are? Obviously they don't work in any form or fashion. They're just a beginning of the repeat. Correct?
Yes, we have been repeating and repeating and repeating the same world over and over for thousands of years. And now we have ebbing tide come in the room and say, everything is happening the way it should. Leave it alone. Now, new is projecting into the illusionary future. See, this kind of insanity keeps people confused. Hopefully Mercy put his plugs on and isn't listening, because he's kind of gullible. He buys into this nonsense. Maybe. I don't think you're fooling him this time, Evingtide, or fooling anybody. So go ahead and tell us how laughter happens and our noses twitch and we sneeze automatically and we only fart in church so that we can smell our pew. Go ahead.
See, this isn't personal. This isn't about Edward James and Evingtide. And you suggest that it's not. It's something to come in what's called some sort of a future. We've got to change it. It's got to bring about this new thing. Well, see, it already is. Always looking to bring about something that is totally illusionary, because it doesn't exist. But it needs to be brought about. What needs to be brought about? What is already present that doesn't need changing? Is there an acceptance of that? Or is there looking, well, no, not satisfied, need to make a new, need to transform this, need to make it all new? See, it's working towards an illusion that can never change. It can't change. There is no new to come, because there is no future. It's this. This is it. And it's seeing this in its purest form without adding, I need to change it, we need to change it, we need to alter it, we need to... See? So Edward, as much as it's spoken, it's not about changing. It's looking for this new all the time. The new, what is what is. That's the simplicity of this. What is new is something that doesn't exist. And it will never exist, because it'll always be looking for something new.
Evingtide, have you ever talked to a doorknob? You know how the doorknob doesn't do much, it just waits for its turn to talk? That's what it's like speaking with you. I just told you we're not speaking anything about change, and all you come on here and say change, 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 change. Please, please leave your insanity alone. If you're going to be insane by yourself. Why are you dragging the rest of these nutcases in with you? We're crazy enough without listening to that stuff. If you can't change anything, Evingtide, what are you doing? Why do you come in and talk? Why do you open your mouth? Why do you scratch your butt? If you have an itch, it's going to get scratched. Just leave it alone. Don't do anything, because you'll be changing the itch to a non-itch. The stuff you say is so crazy, it's hard to even have conversation about. But go ahead if you need to.
Yeah, it is. It definitely, it would sound insane, because it leaves the individual perspective out of play. It would sound totally insane, because it's not about, I'm going to change the world, I'm going to transform, I'm going to create a new. It's saying, this is what is, this is how it is, this is what shows up. Not, I'm going to do this. See, it leaves the I out of it. So it's like an observer now looking at what already is, rather than looking at what is and looking to change it to be something new, transforming it into something else, and so on and so forth. See the difference? So when it's spoken of, there is no change, but let's look for something new. There is no change, but we need to transform the world. Well, those things that have been spoken of are changing, Edward. What this is saying is, when the I is no longer seeking to change what is, it will see it in its purest form, that it doesn't need changing because it's perfect as it is. The battle is the change. The battle is to, I need to make this new. I need to transform it. So that's where the frustration and battle comes in. So this is just offering freedom. Freedom from all that. But we're not so prepared to take that freedom because we're so used to always wanting to be in control. This is no control whatsoever. So it's no control about ebbing tide doing this, ebbing tide's doing that, ebbing tide. It's just a total acceptance, the same as in what is spoken from Edward Jones. It's just perfect in its unfolding because it brings about the clarity.
I've asked you, I don't know how many times I've said we're not talking about change, and you keep talking about change. You have a one-track mind, and it keeps going round and round and round and round. No, Mike, not looking for another 11 years of this insanity. This nutcase doesn't even know she's a record. And this record has been going, Ebbing Tide and I go back a long way. I mean, that girl's old. She's probably, 80 or 90 years of age. Pardon me for being so mean there, Ebbing Tide. Anyway, long time she's been saying this same nut-headed stuff. There used to be a girl called Logan that came in here. All of a sudden, Logan started talking about how laughter laughs and itches scratch themselves and noses aren't on there and oh my. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Anyway, we were actually seeing if we could speak about a new consciousness, one that doesn't have any violence and repetition and changes and all the insanity of our past included. One that we don't keep repeating the same thing over and over and over. A consciousness that actually has not been before. One that can't be repeated because it hasn't been here before.
Well, I've got another quick question. What happened to Brian, and I can't remember his lady friend, you know who I mean, Brian.
Brian and Donna, they're still in Michigan. They've been around. They don't know the room is open or the probability, or is at least the possibility that they would be in. Just as I said a couple times already, I opened it because Frank had some conversation he cared to have about the book, and we were having conversation about the book, but now Ebbing Tide wants to talk about a change and then changing the change. And of course, after we change the change, we have to change it back so that we can change it again. Anyway, we were having this conversation about, will it be a new consciousness or an end of time? Will we blow ourselves the hell off of this planet? Or will there be a new consciousness come along that will actually end the violence, end the wars, and end all the stuff that isn't happening?